Hey everybody, welcome back to GR Research. We're back to doing some speaker upgrades and looking at more Klipsch stuff. And I know you're thinking, he is always looking at Klipsch speakers. He must really like those Klipsch speakers or something. No, you guys just keep sending me more Klipsch speakers. That's all there is to it. I just work on whatever comes in the door. I know you guys ask me a lot. Would you consider this, or do you plan to work on this model or that? I never plan to work on anything. Whatever you guys send me, that's what we work on. So this episode, we're going to talk about some of these Klipsch speakers. And then coming up, we've got a lot lined up. I'm going to go over this kind of real quickly. All the stuff that's coming. I've got more speakers from B&W. Jammo, which I think is actually pronounced Yamo, and I've been calling them Jammo. Polk, Martin Logan, Numi. I've got a ProAC speaker over there, a Pioneer speaker, Monitor Audio, the ATC 19, which measured really well, by the way. The Sony CS3, which is the floor standard version. I got two more Klipsch models over there, and the big Tannoy still yet to come. So all that stuff's in the works. So I'm about 6 weeks out right now, probably on design work. I can get to them just as fast as I can, and I'm as fast as I can get on them. I'm getting them done. But there's only one of me, so hold on. Don't send them to me just yet. Shoot me a message. Let me know when I'm ready. I'll have you send me some more. I enjoy doing this, and I enjoy helping you guys improve your speakers. So let's get right into these. I'm gonna tell my editor. I'm gonna tell Ron we're gonna call this one the good, the bad, and the ugly, because these Klipsch models are just all over the place. They really are. Maybe there's somebody else that was in the design department designing these models versus the newer models. I don't know. But the differences between them are quite significant. Let's look at them. I've got the center channel, which is the RC62. I've got the bookshelf model here, which is the RB61, and I've got one of the newer ones. It's a small one. It's the RP-500M, which is, I guess, the model down from the 600M, which we have sold literally about 150 or 200 of those upgrades for the 600s. And this one might be a little gem as well, but let's kind of look at these as a whole. And these perfectly illustrate some of what we are facing with some of these upgrades. Let's look at this little center channel here. That's this model that this one's sitting on, RP62. Let's look at the factory measurements on this thing. First, let's just look at the frequency response, and you'll see it's kind of lumpy. I mean, and it's bright on top. And that's not going to be a smooth speaker to listen to. Not at all. Let's look at the crossover response, which is easy to shoot because they have these set up for bi-amplification or bi-wiring, which is crazy for a little speaker. Notice the tweeter level is up a little bit elevated over the woofer level, and it is kind of humped up at the bottom of its range, which makes some of that lumpiness that we see. If we look at the vertical off axis, that means you're sitting in front of it and your microphone's going up, or what would you would hear if you were sitting down and you stood up. We notice very little change in the response. In fact, the top end starts to drop out a little bit and it gets a little smoother, so not bad. Now, if you move left or right, remember this is a center channel, so if you move left or right more than 10 degrees, this already really rough response is going to fall all to pieces. Let's look at the horizontal off axis, and you'll see what I mean. As you move further off axis, the cancellation between the woofers start causing problems in the response. There's response issues with this tweeter as you go off axis. It's a mess. This is not an ideal speaker for a center channel. The drivers are spaced too far apart, and the coverage area is very narrow, and it's gonna take your head off with this brightness in the bottom end. Another problem that I noticed with both of these is this bezel that they put on the front of the speaker kind of loads the whole thing into a little cylinder. It's like you're taking the woofers and making them play through a little cylinder, and there's diffraction effects off of these sharp edges, especially the center channel. It's even deeper than this one here. This one's pretty bad, but the center channel's really bad. And the impedance on this one, if we look at that, it's a little bit imbalanced on the tweeter end. It's a little higher, but I think just the impedance of this tweeter is a little on the high side. It dips to 3.4 ohms, so keep that in mind. If you're going to use one of these as a center channel, hooking it up to a receiver, your receiver's not going to like a 3.4 ohm load. So not ideal whatsoever. Look at the spectral decay. We'll notice that there's a little bit of stored energy there right at the crossover point, and a lot of it is in the woofer. Let's look at the individual driver responses. You'll see the tweeter's response, as it goes lower in frequency, it just humps up. It's not flat at all. It just ramps up. That horn that they're loading it into is like a megaphone. It's just making it louder and louder as frequency decreases. It's compressing those waves and just causing it to be louder and causing it to be shouty and in your face. So this is a typology that I can't help but scratch my head and wonder, what are they thinking sometimes on these things? The woofer's response, likewise, it's rough. I mean, you look at the upper frequency range of the woofer, huge peak. I don't know that it's really worth it, to be honest with you. You're still stuck with metal cone drivers, a shouty horn, a resonant cabinet, and it's full of, well, at least from the factory, it's full of cheese. You know, iron core inductors, sandcast resistors. At least they put some polycaps and some air core inductors on the tweeter circuit. But overall, it's cheesy. I don't know what to say to the guys at Klipsch. It's a mess. I can't believe they throw it out there. And even more so, this little bookshelf model here. Let's look at the frequency response of this thing. That's not linear. That's not a smooth response. There's a huge peak at about 2200 hertz, and that's going to be super in your face, screaming at you. I don't know what they're thinking there. And if we look at the crossover response, where we see the tweeter and woofers individually, we see, sure, the woofer's kind of lumpy. The tweeter has got a huge peak in it right there at that range, and I can't believe they sent it out the door that way, to be honest with you. And I noticed on the grills here, the bottom of it, it says reference. This is your reference? Come on, guys. That's your reference? Man. And if we look horizontally off axis, we see it actually starts to look a little bit better horizontally, and vertically, they're actually in phase vertically as you move up. It's staying in phase over a pretty wide range. So they didn't have phase issues like with the RP-500, which it had a hole in the response where the drivers never summed. They just weren't in phase. These are in phase, but the amplitude is horrible. If you look at the impedance response, impedance is imbalanced. We notice at the high frequency range, it's a much higher impedance than it is down low. And down low, let me look and see what that dropped down to. If I didn't put something on it. It drops down to about 4 ohms. So a 4 ohm speaker. Spectral decay, you'll notice a little bit of stored energy there. Overall, I would say punt. Just start over. I worked on this one and I designed something for it. If you guys have to have it, I can send you the parts for it. I didn't even work up a cost on it. It's still not great, even after working on it, and I kind of get the feeling this one would be the same way. Guys, just start over. Sometimes it's better to just start over. If you're a DIY guy and you're considering doing a DIY upgrade to an existing speaker, you could build one of our kits and go way past the performance of some of this stuff. It's just better to start over. It really is. The kits are easy to build. There's no issues with them. They're tried, tested, proven, smooth, easy to listen to. Detailed resolution levels good, imaging good, all that stuff's good. If you're wanting to just start over, we can get you further down the road. Sometimes I just have to say, start over. Now, RP-500. Let's look at this little jewel here. And I say little jewel because of all the Klipsch speakers that have been through here, this one is measured better than any of them. And it measures actually really, really well, actually. On-axis frequency response is pretty dang flat. There's a little bit of a humped area at about 800 to 900 hertz. There's a little bit of a peak there. And other than that, this thing is smooth. Horizontal off-axis, as you look at it, it rolls off really smooth. No issues there. Look at the vertical off-axis, that's moving up. Again, the frequency response stays pretty consistent. We're starting to see a little bit of a dropout at the crossover point, but not bad. If we look at the impedance curve, we'll see a total impedance mismatch. You guys got to learn how to do an L-pad or something instead of just putting inline resistance. I know it's cheaper to just put one resistor in line, but that makes the impedance imbalanced. I don't know why you guys are doing that. Spectral decay. Look at the spectral decay on this one is really clean. So nice work on this. Whoever did the crossover work on this did a really good job on this one. And other than that little peak right there at 800 to 900 hertz, this one's pretty good. If you were buying any of their models and you just wanted something inexpensive to listen to and you just needed some decent sound and you weren't critical about how great it sounds, this is your Klipsch. This is the best one. I'm going to see what I can do with this one. I'm going to design a new network for it. I'll see if I can take out that little hump in the woofer's response and get you guys something that's affordable and get these cheesy parts out of this thing and get the resolution levels and stuff to come up to a much higher level. This wouldn't even be a bad little desktop speaker if you put it on a little stand or something, especially after I get my hands on it and get the cheesy parts out of it. And if they can make it this smooth, then I know I can make it that smooth or better. I bet I can get that little peak out of it and it'll be really smooth. And smooth is always better. Trust me, guys. A lot of you guys say, well, does he even listen to that thing? There's no question. If you have a choice between something that's nice and smooth throughout the whole vocal region and the first octave out of the vocal region, if you had a choice of smooth or jacked up like this speaker, I guarantee you smooth is going to sound better every time. It's more accurate. It's more linear. It's going to always sound better. And then when you get to higher quality parts, you're reducing the smearing, you're reducing the noise levels on it, you're getting more space between notes, you're getting to hear those spatial cues, so your imaging and your soundstage opens up instead of it being so congested and so smeared. Vocal region as well, we get the little iron core inductors out of the path like this, put some good air core inductors in there. It's going to open things up, it's going to sound cleaner. We get some of these little cheesy binding posts out of the circuit, and the wiring that's in there, put some tube connectors on, some good quality wire, get some no-res in it, damp out some of these cabinet resonances. There's a lot of improvement there, and I'm going to see if I can do another low-cost upgrade on these like I did on the RP-600. So I would bet this is going to turn out really well. I'm sending these back to where they came from, and he's going to order some of our kits. And as soon as I can, guys, I'm going to get on that list that's behind these. I'm going to try to knock these out just as fast as I can. And I appreciate you guys watching the videos, and I hope that you continue watching. Hit the subscribe button, please. I appreciate those subscriptions that have been rising. And let me see what I can do with some of these other models and to get some of these upgrades designed for you guys so that you can order them. That's it for this week. Thanks, guys.